Hare Krishna,
so many pieces started coming together.
Hare Krishna.
And then Bhakti Tirtha Swami was very, and how many of you know Bhakti Tirtha Swami? Such a wonderful, wonderful devotee. He was very instrumental also because we used to have a festival in Cleveland called the Lord Have Mercy Festival, where we invited people from different religions to come and share offerings. And we'd have huge prasada distribution, and Bhakti Tirtha Swami, Radha Swami, Kachandamali Swami, they would come sometimes to our festival. And without fail, Bhakti Tirtha Swami would always say something like, and here's Krishna Devi, she's the Grahasta minister. And I was looking at him like, my husband would say, Krishna Devi, when did you get in our movement? And then he invited me to come to India. And Jai Pataka Maharaj asked me to give 2 seminars, but when I got there, he asked me to do 3. And a lot of people were saying, oh, you know, the Indian devotees, they're not gonna be a part of this. Our seminars were packed because Prabhupada knew what was going on in the movement, even when I did it. And this instruction that he gave, it was because of his understanding, his compassion. So from there on, we developed the Grahasta Vision Team, and we've been working with devotees all over the world. This is our book, Heart and Soul Connection, a devotional guide to marriage, service, and love. And it was written, it took us 4 years to write this book. We cried, we prayed, and it's very practical and very devotional. So that's kind of how we got started with this whole service of working with Grahastas and strengthening. And today we work with couples on Skype. We do seminars, we do workshops like that. So we're going to try to just do something sort of concise so that we can leave much opportunity for you all to ask questions and that kind of thing. And we hope that, and then my husband's going to say a few words before we get started. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
How is everyone today? Fantastic. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you all. And we were enthusiastic about meeting devotees here in Dallas, or new ones. We have been here before. Through our host, Nishant, we had some good experiences being in his company. It seemed like Cleveland had a new feel to it with him being there. And he was so good with what he left there, it is still the vibration of his presence is still there. So my wife is saying I'm in the Islamic community. Muslim is one who submits itself entirely to the will of God. And somehow we were community friends. And somehow I'm sitting here right next to her, married 25 years plus. How did that happen? For our advice, it was a young lady that came back about 10 years later after she asked us to come to her home and talk with her and her fiance. And about 10 to 12 years did that. And then different things would happen. Like, are any of you familiar with the butterfly effect? Have you heard of that? The butterfly effect? Probably heard of it, but not much detail. Well, I can't go into detail with you, so I'll give you a little bit of surface. The butterfly flapping his or her wings can start a hurricane. The effect of that little light fluff on can start a hurricane. So don't try to figure out how it's done or how it's the detail of all that. It's just saying one little thing can affect something that becomes so big and huge, and you like, well, how did that little bit of touch affect something so big and huge? That it came out so big and huge. And so there are many examples in people's lives to where one event led to another. That event led to a bigger event. And that event led to an even bigger event. And then in our case here we said 25 years. And speaking of Dr. Tirthy Swami, one day I was in Washington, and I can't come unannounced to surprise him with my oldest son. This is my wife's oldest son here, Shima Sundar. Did I say it? Sundar. Did I say it? You should know how to say your name. Sundar. And I tell all my children, make sure you live your name, otherwise give them up. So we had some hours with Dr. Tirthy Swami to assist us to be together. He always, for some reason, he liked me for her, and he kept working with us. But we were just community friends, and we didn't even had any idea we would be sitting here 25 years later. And just by that butterfly effect, somehow that happened. And I'll tell you where the first start of butterfly took place is when she asked me, after offering to give me a ride, which I usually would have in my car, and she's gonna give me a ride home, and she turned around and told me about something that a writer of books to mothers of children, especially boys, African American boys, had advised. You women that don't have a husband, get your brother, your uncle, your cousin, some man to mentor your boys. If you can't find a relative, just get a good man in the community. And she looked at me and she said, and you are a good man in the community. And I had math when I was, all of us had math. But I was one who got the award for being the best math student in my class. And that means that I can figure if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. And I had this look on my face. And I looked at her and I said, oh no, to myself, this is not gonna work. I have to see the boys regular if I'm a mentor, right? And then I have to see her, oh, I'm in trouble. And I looked so frightened. And what she didn't realize, one reason I looked so frightened is because when I looked up from the ceiling, it wasn't a big high ceiling, but coming down from that ceiling was a great big net, and big letters written across it was my name, Tariq Salim's, yeah. So she looked and she didn't know that's what I saw. That net was gonna get me, and I was gonna be here for 25 years. And I saw that net coming. She said, well, you don't have to decide now. You can decide later. And I said, oh my goodness, maybe I can get out of this. It ain't got over yet. I'm still here. So that's a little bit of our life. So being Muslim, this month is Ramadan, and Ramadan is the fast. And I hope you all will say, look at why he's eating. I'm eating because I'm 77 and skinny, and they don't want me to die. My family has ordered me that you eat. You can do some of the other fast. You don't have to eat periodically during the day. So instead of going the whole day, because this has now become, after each year, the days get longer, they come back to shorter. They make go around a 33-year period. I think that's what it is, 33 years. And so some of our community people have died because they were too strict on doing the fast. So I have orders that when prashadam is served, lick my lips and enjoy it. So there are excuses for you when you travel and when you're like that. So I want to say one more thing about this team of devotees. I've been fortunate through Dr. Tirthy Swami's encouragement to be joining up with this group. And there's three missing on this picture. But we've been working together for, I've lost count now, so many years. And as she said, it took us 4 years to write this book. Each one of us, 8 of us, have a chapter, or in the case of Mother Christian ID, two chapters in this book. So I have a chapter in here among other of our Grasta members. So if you see anything in here that in that chapter, which nobody's seen yet, that where it's not respecting what I've learned and been blessed by being around the Hare Krishna community. So I think I'm blessed that I can just be around you all, you know, and I hope one day you get the blessing to be around some by good Muslim people. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So our topic today is how to balance our sadhana with our family duties and responsibilities. Is that a problem for anybody in the room?
I think everybody knows.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the 12 principles and values of a healthy Krishna conscious life, because that'll help with the idea of balance. This idea of sadhana is very important when you become serious about your spiritual life, when you understand that I have an eternal connection to God, and I must nurture that connection. And then when you get married, that's also an important responsibility. And I think for some devotees, we don't really appreciate that our families, our service in our families, is part of our sadhana. That is our devotional service. The Grihastha ashram is part of the system of ashrams. Like you go through the brahmacharya, ashram means a place of spiritual growth. So you, in the brahmacharya ashram, you're a student, and there's certain requirements and commitments that you make in that student life. Then you move on by the blessings of your guru to the Grihastha ashram. And it's not brahmacharya, it's not vanaprastha, it's not sannyas. As we, in the early days, a lot of us were like sannyas grihasthas. And that worked for a time because the urgency and the immediacy of having to spread Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada envisioned that we would have healthy, happy grihastha life that would be so appealing that people in the outside community would say, just from looking at our families, that they would want what we have. So that's really, really an awesome goal to strive for. And that means that in this ashram, how do we take care of our duties? How do we actually show love and affection to our family members, educate them, cooperate together in our Krishna conscious service, and yet not feel, oh, I'm leaving behind some of my duties. But to understand that Grihastha life is a special time in a devotee's life. And Prabhupada and other acharyas say there's a concession for sense gratification because this ashram has so much responsibility to it. You know, we have to take care of our children, we have to take care of the elders, we have to support the other ashrams. And yet, we want to do that in a mood of as a loving offering to the Guru and to Krishna. And so, we in the Grihastha Vision team came up with 12 principles and values that make up a healthy Krishna conscious life. And we're just gonna review those briefly with you and talk a little bit about some of the challenges, but mainly we're gonna leave time for you all to ask questions. Okay.
We have a plan. So the first principle, very important, is to start off with aligning ourselves with Srila Prabhupada. And So we want to follow the teachings and example of Srila Prabhupada. So Mother Krishna would go into more detail.
So the very first principle and value is alignment with Srila Prabhupada in our householder life. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 27, Krishna tells us, whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we offer, whatever we give away, do it as an offering unto the Lord. So alignment with Prabhupada means in that spirit. I take care of my children as an offering to Krishna. I serve my spouse as an offering to Krishna. And that becomes this is not my property, not my child, not my husband, not my wife. This devotee belongs to Krishna, and somehow or other Krishna has given them in my charge, either way. And so how do I serve them in such a way that Krishna is pleased? So this alignment with Srila Prabhupada means to understand what is Prabhupada's mood and what is his mission and fulfill it. Like when he told me that instruction, you show them how to have a Krishna conscious marriage. That means I had to understand first what was a Krishna conscious marriage. It's a marriage based with Krishna in the center, with affection and love and service and all these qualities. So we'll talk more about that as we proceed.
So principle number 2, spiritual growth and progress. So the Grahastha Ashram is a place of personal growth, considering that.
Okay. So the second principle is to really appreciate that when I get married, I'm not going backwards. I'm continuing the process of spiritual growth. It may be a little different than when I was a student, but it is an ashram. Prabhupada says here, anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness, he is first class. That's all. So our principles should be how to make people Krishna conscious, God conscious. Then our mission will be successful. It is not only that sannyasis, vanaprasthis, and brahmacharis can reach Krishna. A grahastha, a householder, can also reach Krishna, provided he becomes a pure devotee without material desires. And for those of you all who understand our tradition and our culture, many of the great souls were grahasthas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a good example. Prabhupada himself was a grahastha. So this idea of seeing this ashram as a place where we can grow spiritually is very important in our life.
So principle number 3, spiritual equality with the material difference. We want to recognize the difference between men and women. We want to understand the concept of time, place, and circumstance, and integrate our material and spiritual identities.
Okay. So we're going to ask someone here to give a little feedback on this one. What do you think that principle means? Spiritual equality and material difference. Who will share something with us?
So your sadhana could be different, although we are going to do sadhana because the female of the house or the lady of the house have other responsibility to do. They may not be able to do the all sadhana in the morning, they could split later on the day. They should be different, we can't just do everything at the same time, the same way.
That's a very good point. Thank you, Prabhu. Anybody else? Spiritual equality and material difference.
Materially, we may be different. Maybe we are considering the material positions or material duties. We may be different from each other.
Yes.
Differently is different.
Yes.
And spiritually, we are the spiritual, the spark of Krishna.
Yes.
Spiritual spark of Krishna. So in that case, we are equal in spirituality. But maybe our sadhanas are different at maybe different levels, but actually we are part and parcel of Krishna. That way we are seeing equally everyone, but materially we not. Materially very different.
Very good point. Just like we know that if you're in a child's body, you can't do the work of a grown-up person. The body is materially different, but the soul in the child is still a spark of God. So we recognize that and we honor that. And therefore, when the basic fundamental teaching in Krishna consciousness is that we're not the body. But there's a process that we go through before we really understand that. And part of that is understanding that all these varieties that Krishna has created, they're different, but spiritually we're equal, and therefore to treat each and every person with respect, despite whatever their service is or limitation is.
And that spiritual treatment is within the community and our neighbors outside of the community. In the Christians, they have a concept of love your enemies as yourself and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so outside of our community, we should have a special respect. Inside of our community, we should have a special effect also, special appreciation that here are those who we're in common with, that are willing to make certain sacrifices that usually when you're a spiritual group you have to make. So we may have a little problems every now and then, but we give allowances because we want people to give allowances to us. And we also want to strive for being the community that has the highest solidity with marriage, so much so that the Mormons, who are really good at family life, can come and say, can y'all come and help us with some things? So we should have a goal that we want to improve not only ourselves individually, but our couple relationship, our family, and our spiritual community, that it has a good reputation in the world.
Right, because one time we went to a conference in San Francisco, Marriage and Family Conference. And the in-flight magazine, we were on United Airlines. There was a magazine, the first page in the magazine was something about, I don't even remember the title, but it said, who would go to the Hare Krishnas for anything? And I just felt insulted for Prabhupada. And I said, no. Prabhupada wanted that people come to us to ask us, how do you have a healthy life? How do you do this? How do you do that? And we became determined. Oh, I'm sorry.
We can take this out so you can share.
Oh, okay. I tend to get a little excited. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. And that became a challenge for us, that somehow or other we would do our work in the Grahastha ashram and other areas that people would say, let's go to the Hare Krishnas and ask their advice how to get this right. So.
You had to be there to see that magazine. And we still have copies of that. We took a few copies, so we have two left, I believe. And we've come a long way from that day. The Krishna conscious community used to have a pretty good, strong rate of divorce, which was really shocking because here you come for spiritual advancement, and then in that important service, marriage, having difficulties. So we've been working on it, and one day they're going to have to write another magazine and retract what they said. Mother Krishna is determined, and so are all of us on this Grahastha Vision team. So principle number 4, positive and realistic vision. Positive and realistic vision. So in the family life, in the material world, realistic expectations about our partners, avoiding negative influences on and in our household life, self-evaluation before you even get married, and roles of elders in Grahastha life. And Mother Krishna, do you pick a few of those and make a comment? So we had a book, and we're going to highlight. We're just highlighting some of the thoughts that are in here, and some of the ways that we're thinking we should approach this, and we're sharing it. So get the book, though.
So the positive realist, sometimes devotees get married, they have such an unrealistic, idea about marriage, either negative, that, thank God this is not so prevalent today, but it used to be that people think, oh, if you can't do anything else, get married or something like that. Or I'm going into the deep, dark well, by getting married, and my children are, I don't even want to say what they were called. But then, as we are maturing and practicing and understanding that the Grahastha Ashram is a very special and blessed ashram, actually, that if we learn the proper skills and learn the proper insights, then we can have healthy, loving marriages. And here's a very nice quote that Prabhupada wrote. Prabhupada said, "You have asked if I found it difficult to carry on devotional service when I was in my household life. And yes, I did." See, Prabhupada honest. You try to take care of Lord Jagannath as far as possible after doing your household duties. But you should be strict only in completing the 16 rounds of chanting. That will save you from all discrepancies. As a householder, even there are some flaws in following the rules and regulations, it doesn't matter. You should try your best, and Krishna will help you more. If you keep your heart in that attitude that you want to become pure and sincere devotee, Krishna will help you. Now notice how compassionate Prabhupada is here. I mean, in the early days, the devotees were like, we had been all in the temple, so we had this real rigorous schedule. And then once we got married, we wanted to keep those schedules. But how do you do that and take care of your children, this and that? So Prabhupada is giving them some leeway here. He said, just mainly make sure you chant. Even if you can't do all those other things, Krishna knows your heart. It's a very, very important instruction that I think we should remember. Okay.
So this book has references to other chapters that will talk about positive and realistic values. Like in chapter 2, it's a topic already, "Or Not Here I Come, Preparation for Marriage." Actually, that's the title of the chapter. In chapter 3, the title of that chapter is "Roles of the Husband and Wife in the Vaishnava Community." Chapter 5 is Krishna's economics, spiritualize your wealth. And chapter 8, Marriage Under Attack, dealing with serious conflict, separation, divorce. So those are some of the names of the chapters in the book. And each chapter will have references where you can find other material in other chapters. So principle number 5, mutual respect and appreciation. So the importance of mutual respect, appreciating the little things, mutual protection for Grahastha. Why does Srila Prabhupada teach us about mutual respect and appreciation? Those are some of the topics.
Prabhupada was saying, suppose if you love someone and you simply take from that person, but you don't give. Oh, do you think that is very good? No, it is not good. That's not love. That is exploitation. And a lot of times in our marriages and families, we have this mood. If I go on simply taking from you, and if I don't offer you anything, that is simply exploitation. So love means you must take, but you must also give. Dadati Putiganati Bunte Bajayate. That's from the lecture that Prabhupada gave. This idea of mutual respect and appreciation is very, very fundamental to our devotional service. I mean, this is an idea that sometimes we don't think about. You know how they say familiarity breeds contempt. So you're around a person all the time and you think, oh, well, I know them, and they're not special. And then if some special devotee comes, a sannyasi or somebody, we give them all respect. But guess what? Lord Krishna, who is the super soul in the heart of everyone, is actually looking at not just how you treat the sannyasis, but how you treat the children and the spouses. And Krishna knows and sees everything. because every living entity is very much loved by God. And so he wants every living entity treated with love and respect. So especially in a Krishna conscious marriage, the culture between husband and wife should be with real respect and genuine appreciation. Sometimes if we make a mistake, we have to ask for forgiveness. But to see our spouses as servants of the Lord, that somehow we put in our presence. And that can be a challenge when they get on your nerves or annoy you. But still you say, Krishna, this has helped me in my marriage a lot. I said, Krishna, you gave me this husband, and you know what to do with him. And teach me how to, properly deal with him. And the Lord, because I pray that prayer all the time in regards to my children and my husband and other devotees, that Krishna does give the intelligence what to do and how to do it in a way that is pleasing to him, which is very important. Because Krishna is noticing, how are you treating the ones that are around you every day? How are you treating them? So this mutual respect and appreciation is very, very important, and is a very fundamental item in Grahastha Ashram.
Principle number 6, commitment and dedication. Some of the topics: romantic love versus genuine love, seeking help from others in difficult times. What does Srila Prabhupada teach us about commitment and dedication?
So one of the things that I have really grown to admire about the Indian community of devotees in general is this real strong sense of commitment for the most part. Even that's changing a little. And actually, when I grew up in my African American background, we also had that. Divorce was very frowned upon, and people would not do it. But the idea, the reason we're in Kali Yuga, and there's so many challenges to marriage in Kali Yuga, but also, Krishna didn't just want us to stay in a situation that's not nice. So when our marriages are not so nice, we need to get help to help them be nice. We need to learn better skills. We need to learn a different way of communication. We need to be around other devotees who can be good examples for us. I mean, don't just be satisfied with a mediocre marriage, because your marriage is your offering to God. Remember that verse, Bhagavad Gita 9:27. All that you do, offer it to me. Raising your children, going to work, everything.
Principle number 7, open and honest communication. Topics: key to marital harmony. Key to marital harmony. Communication, a skill to be learned and practiced. Why does Srila Prabhupada teach us about open and honest communication?
Okay. So, our acharyas, especially Rupa Goswami, they gave us the blueprint in many areas for how to have healthy relationships, period. And the 6 kinds of loving exchanges: offering gifts in charity, accepting gifts, offering prasad, accepting prasad, revealing as one devotee to another. And we get to, Prabhupada said, our Krishna is a great family man. And we get to practice how to be a part of Krishna's family by being in the families that we are in. That's practice for us. And when we do it and ask for Krishna's help and learn skills that are different and be willing to practice different, like a different way of communication. And sometimes just because our parents did things and we respect them and appreciation, we can grow and learn even better. The whole Krishna consciousness is a process of getting better together. That's what it's about. You know how you dive into the ocean of Krishna prema and it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. So these relationships that we have, don't think that we cannot have vibrant, healthy marriages. I know you all don't think that, but I'm just saying, for Krishna, if we are willing to learn new skills and to change some of the ways that we've been accustomed to do.
So some of those topics and principles, or the principle of open and honest communication, can be found in chapter 3, chapter 6, and chapter 8. Chapter 3 is let's talk about it, open and honest communication. Chapter 6 is affection and physical intimacy, the hot potato. Chapter 8, and that's the name of the chapter, I didn't just say that. We call it the hot potato because we get a little bit, some of the things that devotees are really, really concerned about. We have to be honest and go deep into them. Chapter 8, marriage under attack, dealing with serious conflict, separation, and divorce. So principle number 8, personal and social responsibility, our service to society. You know, so our householders are as examples to the greater society. Another topic heading, opportunity to make advancement in Grihastha life. Why did Srila Prabhupada teach us about personal and social responsibility?
So, let's just get a couple comments from you all. What does that mean when you hear the term personal and social responsibility? Can a devotee, what does that mean to you? Do you want to share something? And social responsibility. As Grihasthas, one of the principles and values in our Grihastha life, in our marriage life, in our family life, is personal and social responsibility. What does that mean? You can't think of it, Nancy. I know you know, but we caught you on the spot, so that's okay. Anybody else could share something? Nishant?
So the way I'm thinking about it is, especially when it comes to social responsibility, is if we do follow the rules and regulations within our own household, and the children we raise turn out to be good citizens, and in turn it turns out to be a social responsibility where other people see the family and the children when they interact with other people, and just the learnings from.
Very good, Prabhu. So you're saying that one of our responsibilities is to raise healthy, God-conscious children, and that affects not only our family, but the society. And you know, Prabhupada said the main duty of a householder is to give shelter to all living entities and perform sacrifices. That's a pretty heavy duty, right? We think about what are some of the ways that we show our social responsibility. And this is one, you know, Mother Earth, who is giving all of us shelter, Mother Bhumi. You know, now more devotees are being really conscious about not polluting the earth and using paper plates and things that won't cause more damage to the earth. So how can we be socially responsible, taking care of our children like nicely, being examples? Prabhupada once was walking with some of his disciples, and he saw a water hydrant leaking, you know, in the garden on someone's property. And Prabhupada was very respectful of other people's property, but he walked across that property and turned that water off because Prabhupada did not like wasting. So the devotees got, you know, a good example of that. And then we have a responsibility to be decent, caring people so that when people meet devotees, they'll get good impressions from us. Wow, you know. We don't have to, everybody's not going to be a heavy-duty preacher or maybe even a heavy-duty book distributor, but just by the way you carry yourself, how you talk to people, how you respond when you're in a challenging situation. We have a responsibility to represent Lord Chaitanya Srila Prabhupada in a mature, kind, compassionate way. And so, you know, we go into more detail about that. But it's very important to understand that Grihastha Ashram means responsibility. It means taking on that service of being an example, of caring for other living entities, supporting the other ashrams, and being a team. You know, when the husband and wife are a team, then teamwork makes the dream work. You know, it's better when people are on one accord, working together to accomplish something.
We can take the responsibility or not, but we're being asked to take the responsibility to live our life in such a way that we inspire those close to us and people in the larger community to be good world citizens. That's really what spirituality is really all about, regardless of what religion you're in. We might as well show that we're learning how to do that by being that. And so we have to buckle down and really be serious about being God conscious, really being serious about being family people, really being serious about being devotees.
Excuse me, just in addition to that, in the chapter in the book, we talk about some examples for how we can be socially conscious. And some of them are being conscious of our effect on Mother Earth. We've talked about that. And living a simple, uncluttered life, but thinking highly. Giving in charity, you know, again, that duty to support. Regularly distributing books and prasadam. Like sometimes we have events at our children's schools and whatnot. We'll take some prasadam just so that everybody can share. Having regular family meetings so that you can encourage the members in the family to have open and honest communication, to feel a part and needed. And taking very good care of your family responsibilities so that even though you may have a tendency to want to be more renounced, but because you have children and you have a family, you to do that with expertise for Krishna. And then doing fun activities with your family and your children and your spouses also. So we say that the Grihastha motto is reclaim, recycle, reduce, restore, recreate, reflect, and recite.
We're almost finished with 12 values. And at the end of that, we're going to give you an opportunity to ask some questions. So kind of like start thinking of some questions you might have. So principle number 9, economic development and prosperity. Some of the topic headings: generating wealth, wealth for ourselves and others. Avoiding poverty mentality. What did Srila Prabhupada teach us about economic development and prosperity?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so here's the quote from Srila Prabhupada taken from Srimad Bhagavatam. If by chance or by the grace of the Lord more money comes, it should be properly engaged for the Krishna consciousness movement. One should not be eager to earn more money just simply for sensual pleasures. Any householders, he requires some deposit in the bank for emergency. That is, of course, allowed for householders. But just for us, sannyasis, we're renounced. We don't have to accumulate any money, you see? So here's Prabhupada showing that there's a difference in what is permitted for sannyas and what is permitted for a grihastha. I think the main thing we should always remember is Lord Chaitanya never wanted us to be cheaters, that whatever position we found ourselves in, whatever ashram, be true to that ashram. Do that ashram very well and very nicely. You see, very important point to me.
Principle number 10, very, very, very important. All of them are important. This is very, 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 very important. Focus on children's welfare. There's such a need to focus on children's welfare welfare, that there is a special group to look out for children's welfare in Krishna consciousness. So it's very important. Protection, topic headings are protection and guidance of children in Krishna consciousness. Community responsibility toward all children. Importance of learning parenting skills. Children learn what they live. What did Srila Prabhupada teach us about focus on children's welfare?
As you all know, when I was initiated here in 1972, and Prabhupada, the building, the Dallas Temple was very new. It was just acquired, and they were just fixing it up. There was a Gurukula there. My two brothers went to the Gurukula for a while. And the day after we were initiated, Prabhupada was giving darshan to some of the teachers for the Gurukula. And my mother sort of pushed me in there. She said, Krishna Nandini, you've always wanted to be a teacher, so you go in there. And I went in, and Prabhupada was giving instructions to the teachers. And I don't remember everything that he said, but I remember two things. Prabhupada said the most important thing that is needed to teach children is to love them. To love the children. And he said, don't hit the children. He said, show them the sticks, but do not hit them with the sticks. I heard this with my own ears. And he always said that. So I think my god sister Irmela, she does this wonderful presentation when she talks about what does it take to raise Krishna conscious children. And she said that if you had asked her that when she was a new devotee, like the first 10 years, she would have had a different answer. But her answer now, and one that I totally agree with, is the children have to have loving environment where they grow up in. Fun experiences in Krishna consciousness. And read to your children. Books all the time, reading. And when my children were little, we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita all the time. And then I would let them read stories from pictures. So it's all this reading of Krishna book and stories and other books is very important because children what they do early on, they'll keep on doing it. Like my children, their favorite thing used to be to go to the library, like to get books and read them, you know. And so reading, having an environment of love and fun, and engaging your children in beneficial activities. Like even when our children are little, sometimes we tend to just give them busy work, but find out something they like doing and let them do it as a service for Krishna. And then let them feel that what they are contributing is something beneficial. This is very important. So those three things she said would pretty much guarantee that even if your children went away, that Krishna consciousness would be in your heart. Can you relate to that, Shant?
Yes.
Can you get a witness?
The example, one of the best examples of a child being properly educated is Prahlad. And Shema has a son named Prahlad. And so so you use that example, and that's what Mother Krishna Andini has used, I have used, and you get these extremely smart children because you start reading to them before they're even born. That's what's Prahlad, right? So there's the key. There's the key. Guaranteed to have they have smart children, or you get your money back. Okay. So all of our children, there's no problem with education. Every last one of them. Our youngest child, this is when we finally can say, He just graduated last Monday. So we asked him, why did he not, I actually did have someone, but
Thank you.
thank you. This is, thank you. So we noticed he had a few, you know, he didn't get straight A's. That's the bottom line. Say, why did you do, what's going on? He said, well, I just felt I just wanted to do the minimum of what I had to do to get a full scholarship.
In that one class.
So he took a break with some of it, but he got the full scholarship.
Very good.
He was third in the whole school for one of those tests they took. You know, our kids, he has a son that they were talking about the other day. He half studied the last minute to do a test. I forgot what that was. But all the kids are smart. They, you know. So, but that's the key. That's my main point. We've already been given the key, and you just, there's one right there. Now, you know, mommy, daddy, Google, they don't understand Einstein's theory or some of the higher knowledge in the Bible, Gita, the Bhagavatam. But if you read it to them, you will, to start with, but they'll get a grasp of the combination of words. And the combination of words help you understand sometimes what an unknown word means. And they get used to the flow and inflections. Everything, so don't read to them like principle number 11, family love and affection. Vaishnava family affection is natural. It's natural to have affection for others. Don't do like that.
So much reading.
Principle number 11, family love and affection. And give them a little affection eye. You know, what are they talking about up there? I don't know. They get some good eyes and they're saying affection. One day I'm going to know what that means. Vaishnava family affection is natural. It is natural to have affection for others, and especially for other Vaishnava family ties. Oh, excuse me. I got my glasses on. I got a period here, right? Is that a period?
And especially for other Vaishnavas, right? Okay, that's good.
How about these special glasses? It's like, so I say, what I'm gonna do different with these glasses? I'm gonna just have to wear, when I go outside, I'm only gonna be driving and just use one vision. I didn't think about what if you misplace your 2 or 3 vision glasses. So you see me doing like this. Because this is just one vision. I do like this, I can see you all perfectly. But I look down here, it's like it's blurred. So I have to pull it up to my nose. So let me use your thing. Number 11. Oh, you're getting your questions together? Number 11. Family, love, and affection. Vaishnava family affection is natural. That's one of the topics. Role of extended family and community. Another one of the topics. And what did Srila Prabhupada teach us about family, love, and affection? If you notice, we try to have no, we don't try. I have a son who's a famous television and movie star. His name is Jihad Ziad. You've heard about him, right? Oh, I know what's going on. Me being a parent, I tend to exaggerate about, maybe about how famous he is and everything. So he's in a recent movie called Michael Jackson. What is it called, actually?
I don't know.
But this newest movie of Michael Jackson on Lifetime. So look on one of the television channels, look up Michael Jackson, and you'll see this famous movie star named Jihad Ziad. But just like in his other movie, which was Stomp the Yard, he's in the beginning of that movie. I have to pre-warn you, don't blink. You might miss it. So in Stomp the Yard, the open credits come and they come down to him. But he has a
mascot.
He's a mascot for the stomping team, and he has a rabbit's head on. So the camera comes down, and he lifts the rabbit head up. And you can see my son if you don't close your eyes. Don't blink. And the same thing with the other movie. But they're working on it. He's a street impersonator of Michael Jackson. So as soon as you see that street impersonator, prop your eyelids open and don't blink. He's famous to me though. Did I do the whole thing yet?
Yes, you did. We were doing 11, family love and affection. So this, yeah. Oh, were you gonna read that? Okay.
Well, these questions, the way he answers, what did Sri Prabhupada teach us about family life and affection? Yeah.
Okay.
That's the reason to get this book. You got a lot of Sri Prabhupada.
So Prabhupada says the reciprocation of service and love between husband and wife is the ideal of a householder life. And he gives the example of the story of Rukmini. Everyone knows that story where he teases Rukmini, says, I'm not worthy to be your husband, I should leave you. And she faints, like falls out. And then he says, oh, I'm sorry, I was just joking with you. But he says, my dear beautiful wife, you know that because we are householders, we are always busy in many household affairs, and we long for a time when we can enjoy some joking words between us. That is our ultimate gain in household life. Actually, householders work very hard day and night, but all fatigue of the day's labor is minimized as soon as they meet, husband and wife together, and enjoy life in many ways. So I want you all to appreciate that husband and wife should enjoy life as long as it's Krishna conscious life. And how Lord Krishna gave an example of this. Lord Krishna wanted to exhibit himself as being like an ordinary householder who delights himself by exchanging joking words with his wife. So this love and affection, sometimes we have had real difficulty because we are instructed to be detached, to not be overly attached. And so we don't always understand what that means. And yes, we shouldn't be overly attached to bodies, but yet the soul within the body, the family member that Krishna has put in our life, we can show affection. In fact, Prabhupada says affection is a need of the spirit soul, that without affection, people don't thrive. And the spiritual world is full of affectionate dealings. Sometimes our challenge comes is because we're trying to be free of lusty desires, and so, we think, oh, if I'm affectionate, I might get lusty, this or that. But with sincerity of heart and open and honest communication and being truthful where you are, householders help each other with even that as an issue. And I recently was asked to write an article on ISKCONnews.com. What was it called? If you get a chance, look at it. Because it was somewhat, got a lot of feedback. It was talking about sex and Krishna consciousness and how to properly look at that and address it in a healthy way, but yet a Krishna conscious way.
Principle number 12. Regulated, balanced, and exemplary lifestyle. Some of the topic headings. Regulation and strong sadhana. Simple living, high thinking. Remaining steady in the face of difficulties. Modeling a happy, healthy, spiritual lifestyle. Question. What did Srila Prabhupada teach us about a regulated, balanced, and exemplary lifestyle?
Sometimes people ask me, they say, Mother Krishna Nandini, how did you do that? How did you raise 10 children? Because, you know, we had 19 altogether. I personally raised, along with my husband, 10. And also sometimes a lot of the other children. And then I have a lot of spiritual children, not even biologically related. They said, how did you do that? How did you remain Krishna conscious? How did you, in spite of all the different challenges? And for me, it was that somehow by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, I chanted every day. I won't say it was always, you know, the best route, but I chanted every day. And that carried me through, because the holy name is Krishna's mercy to us, especially in this age. And when Krishna understands how we are sincere, how we really want to do, you know, what we do, he helps us. So that chanting, that being committed to that no matter what, has really helped me with the children and the husband and all the other bills and problems and issues, and good and bad, you know. So that was one thing. And then somehow or other, as I was saying, that when the children were younger, we would read Bhagavatam every day, or Bhagavad Gita, you know, like that. And just kind of having that familiarity, you know, keeping the environment Krishna conscious, playing the songs and the music. I was really happy when Shaima recently bought a house here in Texas, and I had been to his new house. When he picked us up, all of his songs were Krishna conscious songs, even songs I hadn't heard. And I was like, that's right. That's the way to do it. So the children don't forget, you know, when you have that in their environment.
Can you share one of the songs that you just sing for them?
Oh yeah, when my children were little, because I had so much idle time, you know. But for each one of them, the Lord would give me a song, a simple song. And so one was for my daughter Krishna Kumari. There are some demons who come to make you sad. There are some demons who come to make you mad. But watch them run, Krishna Charan. Watch the demons run when you chant Krishna. Watch them run, Krishna Charan. So I would sing this to her when she was a baby. And so when she grew up, she remembered that song. Shaima's song was just really simple. It was one word. Shaima Sundama, Shaima Sundama, Shaima Sundama, Shaima Sundama, Shaima Sundama.
Yes, I remember.
And then one more. Lord, look us over, we're your devotees. We keep making our obeisances. No more Maya, no more fuss. Please take us back to Godhead on the Hare Krishna bus. The Hare Krishna bus, that's the one for us. The Hare Krishna bus, the Hare Krishna bus. I love songs like that. Wow, and you know what? You know, having the children, you all, of course you all know, you're mostly parents in here, right, for the most part. It wasn't always the easiest thing. And, you know, within your heart, you really want your children to grow up and be connected to Krishna, because that's the whole point. You know, no one should become a mother or father or teacher or leader of any kind unless you can do that. You know, how do you do that? You know, everybody has their own individual personality and karma. But just, you know, being the best example you can be, showing the love, cooperating, praying. I did a lot of praying. That's my whole thing. Krishna help, you know. And, you know, and Krishna will help us. So, questions? Prabhu?
Some of the book, like the people think serving Krishna is more important than taking care of the child. So what is your
Okay. So some, yes. What's your name, Prabhu? Sanam. So Mother Sanam is saying that sometimes people think that devotional service, quote unquote, is more important than taking care of your children. And I want y'all to think for a moment, though. These are Christians' children. And it is not by accident that they take birth through us. Krishna has actually trusted us. That's a huge thing for God to give you a little part of himself and trust you to take care of them. Don't minimize that. That's a great service. That's the best service. To take care of Krishna's children, to teach them how to be devotees, to give them love. Sometimes you have to say no to some of the other requests because you are taking care of Krishna's children. And don't be ashamed of that. Prabhupada said he's Krishna's children. And in one instance, he told a devotee, he said, stop being pujari and take care of your child. Because they need the love and affection and the care. They need the husband and wife working together. Don't think that's some small, unimportant thing. That's huge to take care of Krishna's children and raise them for him and offer them back. Lord, you gave me this child. What can I do with it? Thank you for trusting me. Let me show them. Let me take care of your child for you, Krishna. And let me hand them back to you so they won't have to suffer anymore in this material world. Don't think that's a cheap thing.
One of the reasons that Mother Krishnandini may be a little emotional about this because instead of treating children like they are Krishna's opportunity for us to grow and to help our community grow, many of the children have suffered abuse in the past.
And neglect.
And neglect. And misalignment as to where energies should be spent. So we want to be have disciples. Actually, we're gurus for our children, and they're our disciples. So we don't want to see discipline as being, I must hit you with a stick. I must get you out of my way so I can go do whatever we're thinking some other superior service might be. First responsibility is this responsibility that you've gotten, however it's come. It's really coming as a blessing. My children are blessings to me. They give me a hard way to go. Sometimes, they get teenagers and they do strange things. So Shiloh wouldn't know about that, though. He was an angel. But if you keep working with them, each one of them are guaranteed to make you feel that Krishna is blessing you. You gotta feel that you are being blessed sometimes. Sometimes we just think we're not getting blessed. We got this problem, that problem. And we're so occupied or preoccupied with what we think is a problem, and it really is an opportunity to get a blessing. You may not know, some of you may not understand what I'm saying, some of you may. When you see a problem, there's an opportunity for it to be removed from you. That would end up being a blessing, right? So see what it is you're supposed to be learning from this problem, so-called problem. And I'm not forgetting we're talking about children too. And see what it is that maybe I'm supposed to be more conscious of. And then as you get it, you may see that ease away. Also see that, well, who can I do, what service can I want to use the word service. What kindness can I do for anybody to come close so that this problem can be relieved from me? It may be the very ones causing the problem that you try to do a service for them. You know, I have some examples, but we won't do it today.
Also, we always we think about protection. And this is another thing that we need to have a deeper understanding. Women and children are to be protected. But you protect something that's valuable. You protect something that's precious. If it's not valuable or precious, you don't need to protect it. And so after I got initiated, when I got initiated, I was pregnant with my second child. And when Prabhupada left Dallas, we also left Dallas and we went to Nashville, Tennessee. Prabhupada had told us that we can open a center there, my mother and I and my stepfather. And my second daughter was born in Nashville. You don't remember that stuff. Because you weren't born yet. But my brother, who was still at the Gurukula in Dallas, he wrote me and he said, Krishna, Devi, you should write Prabhupada and ask him to name your child. So I wrote Prabhupada, and at that time there were no emails, and this is the old days when you had to write letters. And it took about 4 or 5 months for me to get a response from Prabhupada. But Prabhupada always answered all letters, and he always did it with such love and affection. And during that time, we just called her baby girl Dasi, Krishna Dasi, baby girl, sweetie, you know. She really didn't have a name. And then when Prabhupada wrote, he said, you can name your daughter Bhakti Guru Devi Dasi. And I had asked him to initiate her. We were a little zealous at that time. She's a new baby, and I'm saying, Prabhupada, will you name her and initiate her? And so Prabhupada said, when she is older, we will initiate her. But also in that letter, he said, now you are my initiated disciple. And I must instruct you to associate with my devotees as much as possible, to chant 16 miles every day, and to raise your children in Krishna consciousness. And he said, this will be the success of your life. That's what Prabhupada said to me in the letter. To raise your children in Krishna consciousness. Very important service. These children belong to Krishna. We have to take really good care of them. Some of them are really special souls anyway. And some of them will act really mischievous and bad. Some of these are really here to take Lord Chaitanya's movement to the next level. So let's appreciate that. You know, that this is a service that I would offer every one of my children to the lotus feet of Prabhupada when they were born. I just take them in the altar room, put them on the vyasa if we have one, or on the floor, and say, Prabhupada, please accept this child in your service.
So when you are disciplining your children, keep in mind that the word discipline comes from the word disciple. So you have to discipline with that in mind, that this is one of your disciples that you're encouraging to be self-motivated for the Lord. And so it takes skill to do that. You know, it takes making mistakes, and you know, sometimes, you know, you wonder if you really got it, but when you see them start blossoming and they actually be a good kind of contributor to the community, then you say, you know, must have done something right. So you want to have that earnest heart when you're dealing with them, even when you know, some of them have to chastise them. But always keep in mind that discipline comes from the word disciple.
Any other questions? Kabul?
Mother, we talked about that we have to respect our family.
Yes.
Yourself, more than the family.
Yes.
But at the same time, we are saying that we are the gurus. We
Yes.
have to teach them and to make them a good disciple.
Yes.
And now in the world we live with so much electronic gadgets and all those things, so much distraction. and they seems very attractive to these kids going now. So we talking about for goal to make them in the positive way nice. Devotee at the same time we have so many distractions. So how can we motivate them? So then they ultimately become Krishna conscious.
That's a very good question. There's so many distractions. You know, being a good parent in today's time is such a challenge because you have all these other pulls, and especially if our children have to go to public schools, which sometimes they do, until we can do better. But, you know, make your home as Krishna conscious as possible. Engage them in as much association with other families that are doing the same thing. And always be a good example. And as a parent, you have to set limits. You know, you can't play the game 5 hours, you know. Sometimes you have to maybe make a concession. But do it always, as my husband is saying, with the idea that you want to raise a thinking child who can make good, healthy choices. So sometimes they may have to suffer the consequences of a bad choice. For example, you know, our oldest son now, he just turned 18, he just graduated from high school. But I remember a few years ago, I was saying, Vishnu, put your coat on, you have to, you know, it's gonna be cold today. He said, oh no, Mata, I don't need a coat. I said, Vishnu, put your coat on, take the Mata, I got this. He came back, he was so sick. And I said, oh, you didn't need a coat. You know, you have to be sick. I mean, you know, of course I nursed them, but sometimes they have to learn that. And, you know, as parent, a good parent has to walk that balance of firmness, but love. You know, neither too harsh or too lenient. You know, and it's good to read and study other parents and get, you know, suggestions and recommendations. But I would say there's a Christian verse that says, train a child in the way that he should go, and when he's older, the training will not depart. And we can be confident that if we, from when our children are little, raise them in a Krishna conscious environment and do the best we can, that Krishna will do the rest. Don't forget, Krishna says he carries what we lack. Don't forget that. And he preserves what we have.
We want to start closing down. I want to share one of the methods that I use with my children. I wish I had used more. I really wish I had used more. And how it goes is I give them options of chastisement or restriction. I say, would you rather I'm just going to pick anything. I can't think of a direct thing right now. Would you rather, say, like, be on punishment for 4 days, 2 days, 1 day, or none? Like, you know, it's like, none. Okay. You know, they just got away scot-free. So I in trying that sometimes, I see how it affects the mood of the child afterwards. And I wish I had tried that more often, to give them an option where there's a way out. You know, don't trap them so much that they can't use their mind to think. And just see, you know, try some of that to see if it works. If it don't work, don't tell anybody where you got it from.
I like that too, about giving the children an option, you know, like, because sometimes we have this tendency as parents to say, you do it this way, you do it like this now. But if you actually want to raise children who are thoughtful, give them options, let them make some choices, and then deal with the consequences.
We were just talking about the other day how Lord Vishnu gave the offenders of the four Kumar brothers options. They had an
Yes.
option to come as lifetime, say a lifetime as a devotee or 3 lifetimes as demons. So he gave them a choice.
Yeah.
Of course, they chose the 3 lifetimes as demons.
And they chose the 3 lifetimes so that they can get back to Krishna quicker. But at the same time, we had to suffer from that. But did we learn anything? And see, that's the whole point. We're reading pastimes that the principle that what I need to learn from when I read it today and what you need to learn when you read it tomorrow, am I getting what I'm supposed to get from that pastime about how to balance my life to where it increases in service and blessings, that my life is not so battered down, because out here it's real easy to live battered lives that just under stress. So am I learning what I'm to learn? Am I trying to hurry up and get back to Christmas? I don't have to be a demon. So am I the best parent? I chose to be a parent. Am I the best parent? And a lot of times we forget that's our role, and we act different. We're not acting like we're parents a lot of times. I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't act like I'm a parent. I'm acting like, get out the way. It's like, wait a minute, you're supposed to, that's your disciple. You're not supposed to get out the way. So you got to go back and, I'm not going to make it back if I treat my children and others improperly.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mataji, for coming in our program and giving us a wonderful class. I just want to know that when you say read with the kids, so when the kids are young, we can start with a new life. We can read to them. But when they are grown-ups, they have their own life. And when we say come, let us read, I don't have time. So it's the answer we get. So at that point, what we should do?
Okay. So what age are we talking about?
My daughter's, I think, and my son was taken under.
Oh,
15 and 19.
you are an awesome talker. You were an answer to prayer. Thank you. What's your name? Abishai. Oh, wow. If your mom to ask you to read with her, will you read with her at least 15 minutes? Thank you. Thank you, Abishai. And what's this lovely lady? What's your name? Sneha? Snigdha. Would you be with your mom too? Okay. I'm going to find out.
In reading, there's for want of a better way of saying it, another dimension that you get in. If you really get used to reading, you get into a rhythm and another dimension, and it's like different things open up to you. So you have to not read just like it's a labor. You don't read like it's a labor. Let's see if I can give you. I can give you a difference. Here, look. So when I was working at Walt Disney World, they told all of us on our ship that we have a spiel for you to give to the people. You're supposed to learn it by heart, and you're supposed to present it to the people as you're taking them around Walt Disney World. Some of you been to Walt Disney World?
Yes.
And you're going around this mile and a half track, I believe it was, on a real steam train. So I know how to drive a real steam train. I know how to stoke the fire of a real steam train. I know how to oil the wheels of a real train. And I know how to be a conductor that gives a tour spiel that was told to me to read it just flat. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going on a Grand Turk Circle tour around the Magic Kingdom. I almost forgot how to go now. So, let's see if I can grasp it. That's the first time it ever happened to me that I can't remember this spiel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Steam Railroad. We are now going around the Magic Kingdom. No, I can't get it. It's just gone. Oh, getting older. But you see the difference. I was like, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Steam Railroad. We're now going around the Magic Kingdom and da-da-da-da-da-da. I forgot the rest of it. That's strange. I never have forgot that before. So there's a difference. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Steam Railroad. We're now going around the Magic Kingdom. And throughout our journey, we ask that you keep your arms and legs safely inside the train, remain seated at all times, and no smoking, please. Very boring. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Steam Railroad. Who's that talking? They're looking for me. We're going around the Magic Kingdom and no smoking, please. That's a no-no. I added that part. That's called deviation. So they would write me up. You know, you have to get an evaluation. And they were so kind when they wrote me up, but they did put that word there that he was a deviant. That I deviated from it. So I couldn't get a high rating, but they would come in clapping. Come in clapping.
So,
Yes. And then one gentleman said that he couldn't do that. I said, you can't, just give me 3 days with you. And one of the most beautiful sights to see was him get off the train after I spent 3 days with him and have a big smile on his face that he learned how to communicate with the audience. You know, with his personality. I said, you have to do it with your personality. Yes.
so make your reading interesting and fun with the children. And sometimes read what they want to read, you know. There's a new book about the Ramayana by, I can't think of her name. But anyway, she's a devotee from Alachua. And they tell me some wonderful magic reading with that. So, you know. But we have Rabbi Sharon's word and your beautiful daughter's word that they will do that with you. So, and you know, with children too, when you say we're only going to read 15 minutes or 20 minutes, keep your word so they'll have faith and then they'll want to do more with that. Any other question or comment?
Same chapati which I just put for the offering. So what should I do? Because I know this is offering, but she doesn't know. She just wants to get this chapati or whatever. So what should I do?
And she's with you right there. She's 2 and she's in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to make the offering really long when you're dealing with children, and just say, kind of sweetly but firmly, just wait just a little bit, just an offering to Krishna, and then you can have it. So you have to be a little firm on that, but then keep your word and don't do it long. You know, that should help. Have you tried like having some other chapatis already ready that are already offered? That would be something you could do, just substitute. You don't even have to always know. This is already offered, so you can, you know, you don't have to tell her that, but you know it and give her the one that's already offered. If you know some of what your children are going to do, and you know, right now we are a little smarter than them, so just do it like that. You know, give her something that's already offered that looks pretty similar, and it's fine. Yeah.
You know, to do service, sometimes we leave our children to like another devotee to take care of like 15 minutes or 1 hour, something like that. So is it a good choice? Because you know, I feel like that's my responsibility to take care of this child. Since you said like Krishna chose me to take care of the child.
Okay, so did everyone understand Mataji's question? It takes a village to raise children.
Because I don't want to leave anyone, I don't know why. I'm a little maybe
Okay, this is good.
overprotective maybe.
When we're developing our Krishna conscious communities, every single devotee, every single person should feel like all the children are our children. That's the Krishna conscious community. So I remember one time we used to go to Vietnam when Dr. Tija Swami was on the planet. And we had really multicultural. We had Indian body, white body, black body, devotees. And because all of the children saw all of the mothers as their mother, sometimes people say, is that your child? And it really wasn't, because that kind of community spirit was there. That was, and a lot of people say, I don't know whose baby this is. She seems to be taken care of, loved by everybody. So part of a Krishna conscious community is that we all see these children as our children. And children need to know that they're loved and cared for by other adults. That's part of what it takes for them to be healthy in their mind. This is why Krishna made grandparents and aunties and uncles and, cousins, because that flavor of varieties of love and care has to come. So if it's not that you're just shirking your responsibility or not, be happy that if there's some devotees that you can trust that have a motherly or fatherly mood with your child, because that's very important. Very important.
Mother, can we add something to that? That also might be good for the child as well.
Yes.
Spend some time or the devotee to give learn from the skills that maybe mother or father may not be doing at that moment.
That's good. And they learn how to see, our whole thing with children is teaching them how to learn and grow in the world, how to deal with different personalities. My mother was a different personality. My children had to learn to deal with her. She loved them, but her way of parenting was different from mine. And that was important for them to understand how to deal with those different kinds of adults. So it's good for children. It helps them to be adaptable and adjustable and learn how to respect a variety of different adults. We need the community. We need it bad. We need communities where everybody loves all the children and take care of the children as though they were their own. We need that. If you look at the whole story of Vrindavan and the Krishna book and all the characters, all those mothers loved all those children and had a deep relationship with them. But Krishna was special love, but okay. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you so much. We want to tell you a couple of things about this book. We were in Mayapur when it first came out. Actually published it where we could see it, and you should have seen the smiles on our faces. And we had them available to offer them for sale in Mayapur. This book is now sold in more than one country, and it is currently negotiating to be printed in Russian and Portuguese. And so it's starting to go around the world. And it's you have to get it for yourself and just use it and share it with other people. Encourage them to use it. It's well put together, and it's patterned after or some of the material we use in our workshops and seminars are in here. And we tried to make this be a good handbook to always have, always refer to when you have a particular situation of concern. So use it. You won't regret it.
And some devotees are taking our book and having regular monthly study groups, because there's a chapter on parenting which is extremely practical, like specific examples of how to deal in different situations. So we pray to make it as devotional and as practical as possible. There's a chapter on premarital, like what to look for when you're thinking about marriage. There's a chapter on communication. There's a chapter on dealing with serious conflict and difficulty. And there's a chapter on roles of husband and wife. How do you decide? There are charts and different things to help you. So it's a really good resource.
And the cartoons are terrific.
So thank you all very much, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be with Krishna's devotees as yourself and to, do it.
How much it cost?
The books are $15, and there's a website called VaishnavaFamilyResources.org, which is the Grahasta Vision Team website. So thank you all very much. Oh, right,
We
okay.
have a pen for,
How many couples are in here?
just answer this.
What is the website name, Mataji, Vaishnavas?
VaishnavaFamilyResources.org. Yeah. These are, pins, is the website on here? Yes, it is, okay. So the website is on these pins, and, if you're a couple, just take one, because we didn't bring enough, I'm
No,
sorry.
sure, this way.
Is it?
Yeah, we can give one shop per family.
Yeah, 1%. That's good, that's good. And so the mantra that we say as, the Grass Division team is,
Excuse me. I would really like to make this real simple for myself, and I just start with the ladies, and I give the ladies the pins, and then you have your husband. Go and give you, and then I give you, it's too man. I don't get more men than women.
that's
Some of
good.
y'all don't have a wife?
That's
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet? Oh, we gotta pray on that.
So, the Grahas Division team motto is healthy families, happy marriages, strong is kind. And I'd like you all to say that with us, okay? Healthy marriages,
Healthy marriages.
happy families,
Happy families.
strong is kind.
strong is God.
One more time. Healthy marriages,
Healthy marriages.
happy families,
Happy families.
strong is kind.
Strong is God.
We have this poem that we say. We work with couples, like I said, and even in our workshops. And I don't know if I remember all the words, but we'll end with the poem. And we have a secular version and a Krishna version, but both of them are pretty good. I hope so. He said, am I remembering it by heart? We're in this together through good times and stormy weather. Our relationship takes work, and we're willing. Sometimes it's intense, sometimes we're chilling. We want to get better together. Our goal is to be each other's best friend, get skills so our marriage won't have to end. Tools to manage our time, children, and money, to avoid the mess and go after the honey. We want to get better together. Trust, respect, forgiveness, yes. Lying, cheating, fighting, no. With cooperation, consideration, and devotion, we can flow. We want to get better together. I love how the whole word. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
नंदनी कृष्णनंदनी माता जी की जय। तारिक प्रभु की जय। We really appreciate Mataji and Prabhuji for coming here and giving us nice association. I believe it will be wonderful eye-opener for a lot of us as well, and I will work on those suggestions and guidelines as well, and really appreciate. We hope you can come back again sometime also, so we can again have some of your blessings as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Ram.